Okay, Anthony, we are live on YouTube.
We're live on YouTube?
Yes,
No way.
yes. Anthony, we are live on YouTube. Okay, so we'll start.
Live on YouTube?
We'll start our meeting dedicated to the Victory Day in Russia. And now I will launch the presentation. Meeting dedicated to the Victory Day in Russia. And now I will launch the presentation. So that is So that is
Советского и сбора войска Первого Белорусского фронта под командованием маршала Советского Союза Жукова при содействии войск Первого Украинского фронта под командованием маршала Советского Союза Конева после бурных призывных боев завершили разгром берлинской группы немецких войск. И сегодня, 2 мая, полностью овладели столицей Германии городом Берлином. Центром немецкого империализма и очагом немецкой агрессии. Мартеновских печей не смыкала наша Родина и ночью, и утро лунную вели, этот день мы приближали, как могли. Возвратились мы не все, потихоньку пробежали по России. Европы разлагали пол земли, этот день мы приближали, как могли.
Thank you, Tatiana and Marina, for joining us. Yes, and of
Glad
course,
to see you. Anyhow, there was no good sound. It blurred a little bit, and
okay, yeah, as probably there is yeah, bad connection, but
Mhm.
I'll send you the presentation. So
Okay, we'll be thankful.
yes, yes,
Sorry that we were a little bit late. You see, we started connecting, and then it asked for update. We had to install the
Yeah.
update, and
Yeah.
it took time.
It happens all the time, actually.
Started connecting, and then it asked for
So
update. We had
yeah,
to
the
install
system
update.
is like yeah, very strange. But
Okay.
anyway, sometimes somehow it works. So we'll continue. Of course, these are images from yesterday, Moscow, Volgograd, and Berlin. Actually, in Berlin, there are other pictures that people came with the flag of former German Democratic Republic. Yes, so, and of course, this is Coventry and London Soviet Memorial. As people will come and all day long lay the flowers. Yes, and of course, we're doing it for Common Victory Day, but every family has personal connections, and as you know, that I have a little book about my relatives, and hopefully I can soon just give the public access to this book after it's fully edited in English. Yeah, which is dedicated to my relatives, to their stories during World War II or Great Patriotic War in Russia. But this year we're also marking, not celebrating, but maybe the United Kingdom is going to mark the 80th anniversary. Of the second front landing or opening, and there is a little video about it. I hope you can see it. Can you see it?
No video.
No video. No video. Okay, how can I manage it? Okay, so probably I need to stop sharing. Oi, press something different. So How, yeah, I need to,
Okay, so probably I need to stop sharing. Wait,
so
there's something.
if I close this
Oh,
and share, yeah. Now I need to share different screen.
if I could.
June 6th, 1944, Eisenhower.
Can you see it? So can you see
Just
it?
half screen.
Half screen?
Mhm.
Because I have full screen.
No, we see only the top, and then at the bottom,
The first waves of nearly
there
2
is
million
some advertisement or whatever.
Allied troops sailed for Normandy, a giant armada of 4,000
You
ships.
still don't see.
The skies were
Like
alive
this.
with Allied planes pounding road and rail networks.
We don't
German
see it.
reinforcements for
At
Normandy would
At the
slow
bottom,
down and
ads by
target and
Google.
disorganized
Okay.
after their continual hammering from the air.
Like this.
Now it's better. Mhm.
Can you see it?
Now we see much better, but
The
it
beaches
stopped.
were softened up by massive bombardment.
The video doesn't work.
They expected an attack across the Straits of Dover, and the landing at Normandy came as a complete tactical surprise.
We hear the sound, but no video.
This was the crucial attack on the power of Nazi Germany. This was D-Day. It was the greatest amphibious invasion of all time, and even Stalin was forced to admit the history of warfare knows no other like undertaking from the point of view of its scale, its vast conception, and its masterly execution. By the end of D-Day, more than 250,000 Allied troops were firmly established on French soil.
I need to stop this. So now I need to figure out, yeah. So here and to share a different, yeah, I will send you the presentation so you can watch it with the links on your
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
computer. So yeah, because I don't think we're going to have a separate event dedicated to this anniversary. That's why we're talking about it today. But then also, you know, every year we talk about victory, we talk about events of the Second World War, Great Patriotic War. There is something new. And this year it is Battle for the Atlantics. Can you see it?
The Battle of the Atlantic continues. As our convoys pass to and fro, U-boats lurk in the vast waters, preparing to cut our lifelines at every opportunity. In a recent instance, it was a case of the fighter bit. German planes and U-boats attacked one of our convoys of over 30 ships, but the Navy, as ever, was on its toes. Or one could say, Hail Hitler. The escorting warships closed in around their precious charges and proceeded to teach the Nazis a lesson. The ringside seat on one of our destroyers was an amateur cameraman who secured short flashes of the U-boats in the thick of the trouble they asked for. The photographic quality is poor, but they are the real thing. At this moment, the U-131 has taken a jab from a depth charge, while our destroyers are hunting two other U-boats, the U-434 and the 574. They've all been hit, and in these three shots, you'll see two of them in the last throes before their final dives to the bottom of the sea. Those blobs in the water are survivors from the U-boats in the very soup in which they had hoped to see British sailors. So let's not waste sympathy on them. Yes, the Royal Navy can be relied upon to do its job.
Yeah, and we're talking about it because actually Antony's father was involved in, so I need to switch YouTube somehow. Yeah, so I think that's better. So was involved in shutting down, actually, damaging the U-boat.
Yeah, he
German
was in
U-boat.
the minesweepers,
Yeah,
and they looked for Nazi U-boats.
yeah. So, and as the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union were the allies during the Second World War, or whatever is happening now, but this is the history. And though, of course, there are not many talks about that victory. All the talks were about the parade in Moscow and Russian celebrations, but not the role of the United Kingdom in the fight with fascism. So probably because there are preparations to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day. Yeah, that's true. And maybe next year for the 80th anniversary of the Great Victory, there will be more talks. As I was told, and I actually I witnessed that people here in the United Kingdom are more interested in the history of the First World War, when there were 100 anniversaries of the First World War and the start and the end. So there were not much talks about the history before, like 50 years ago, people say. But now, the further this history goes away, so people are more interested, and probably this is going to happen with World War II as well. People will be more interested when it will be maybe 100 years anniversary. And still in Russia, it is the tradition to remember it because, of course, of huge losses. Nobody can deny it. So, and so I'm going to learn more about Pete Gardner's story. I don't know a lot at the moment, but yeah, because I find still I don't understand how my relatives, my grandparents survived Great Patriotic War. But because some members of the family died both at the France and from hunger, from sufferings, but some did survive. So
My dad, his dad was in the First World War,
yeah,
and he survived that.
yeah. So it is the same, like every family probably in Europe, particularly in Europe. Of course, with British Commonwealth, there are stories from Australia, from India, Gurkhas, from other parts of the world, from British Commonwealth, countries of British Empire, who participated in World War I or World War II. But yeah, British people also had suffered and experienced lots of losses as well.
And they bombed Coventry.
Yeah, and of course, yes, Coventry is the most bombed city after London, probably.
Yeah.
Though lots of places were bombed, but Coventry suffered a lot, and actually it preserved this, like in Volgograd. We also have some ruins as the reminders of the sufferings, and here in Coventry as well, they left some ruins on Coventry Cathedral for the symbol.
Yeah, well, it's destroyed still, and just...
Yeah. So how was your Victory Day?
Before we speak about our Victory Day, I would like to share something connected with what you've said. So first of all, maybe about 10 years ago, our students made a presentation, a research, and then a presentation on the theme of anti-Hitler coalition. So it was very good experience, and with this research work, they even became the regional winners and presented it the results of their research at the regional conference. And the second thing I would like to share with you is our new knowledge connected with meeting on the Elbe River. So on the 25th of April, as you know, the American and the Soviet troops met on the Elbe River. And usually our colleagues somehow mark this day or at least remember about it. And recently we've learned that the father of our colleague was an evidence of this event. You see, she told us that he was part of detachment that met the Americans at the meeting point. And there was a very funny episode. She told us that her father fought in their detachment, in the father's detachment, were mainly people from countryside who didn't know any foreign language. And he didn't have very high position, but he was more educated than the others. He was from a city, not from a countryside. And he knew a little bit German. So on the day of this meeting, the people, the soldiers from his detachment brought a prisoner. They said that they caught a German soldier and brought it to the leaders of the detachment. And our friend's father understood that this man wasn't speaking German. He was speaking English, and it wasn't a German soldier. It was an American soldier. But well, you see, people who don't know any foreign language simply didn't understand it, and they even beat him a little bit on the way and wanted to put him to prison. And well, when our colleague's father said that he was an American, they became friends, and they even drank vodka together. And then this man took our colleague's father to his detachment and even offered him to drive him in a car. So, and they became friends. So that was such a funny story that an American was considered to be a German and they almost killed him. Well, that was a funny story we've learned just on the 25th of April this year. Very funny.
Actually, I had a neighbor when I lived in Essex in Manningtree. So I had a neighbor who served in the army, but he served in a band, in a military band, and he was a bagpiper. He played the bagpipes, and also he participated in Edinburgh Tattoo, and he was even this lonely piper on the tower in Edinburgh, and he performed for Kennedy just maybe a couple of days before he assassinated, but the orchestra performed in the White House. But he also served in Germany, and he remembers that he was like a usual serviceman there at his early days of his military service. And they serviced again in Berlin, in West Berlin. And during the duties, they have to be very strict with the Soviets. But after the duty, they drank vodka together. Yes, so unfortunately, my neighbor Patrick, he passed away a couple of years ago, but every time we met, I had to bring the red wine for his wife, Veronica, and a bottle of vodka for Patrick, because he said, no, just genuine Russian vodka is the best.
Yes.
And that's it. He accepted only vodka as a drink. So how was your victory day then?
There was a ceremony in Victory Square, a meeting, a concert, and there were veterans and many people were there, put flowers to the eternal flame, but we were not there because it was our working day. Being guides, we worked yesterday in the museum with lots of tourists, but we saw everything on TV.
Mhm.
And there were lots of films yesterday and a concert on TV, and we watched in the evening in the parade from Moscow, which was repeated again.
In fact, Vladimir was never occupied by the Germans, so there were only two bombs. Only two bombs were dropped, but we do have a military cemetery because we had many hospitals in the city of Vladimir. So the wounded soldiers were brought from the front near Moscow to Vladimir because we are very close to Moscow. And besides, there was such a, let it be, page in the history of Suzdal that is very close to Vladimir, that there was a camp where they captured fascists or the soldiers from different nations who were members of Hitler's army were kept. And there were many Italians in this camp. In fact, Suzdal doesn't have any railway station. That is why these soldiers, Germans, Italians, there were also Czechs, Polish people, well, from many countries. They were brought to Vladimir, then they walked from Vladimir to Suzdal, and then they were stationed in the St. Euphemius Monastery. There, and in fact, many of them died of typhoid because they were sick on the way, and for many years afterwards, these people who, especially Italians, who had been kept in this camp, visited Suzdal. I think most of them had already passed away because, well, you know, many years passed already from the end of the Second World War. And the Italian groups always visited the old cemetery in Suzdal where their compatriots were buried. And, well, in fact, the Italians who had been the prisoners in this camp always came to Suzdal with very thankful ideas, because you see, the people of Suzdal, they saved them from starvation. People after the war didn't have much food everywhere. And in fact, they shared the food with the prisoners from this camp. And so, well, they when they came, they said that they hadn't been angry with the city of Suzdal, but they had been thankful to the city of Suzdal, to its citizens who saved them, who did everything possible to save their lives and to help them not to starve, not to die. Well, shared with them everything they had.
Their life was not really bad. They were allowed to move inside this ex-monastery. They were allowed even to do physical exercises. They were allowed to start a garden, to plant vegetables and some fruits. And they had their own priest, a Catholic priest, who organized Catholic services for them. They were allowed everything. So
Yeah, as my mom actually remembers that she was born in Stalingrad in 1946, but she remembers that they brought some vegetables, some bread to Italian, Austrian, German prisoners of war who were rebuilding the streets of Stalingrad, ruined Stalingrad, and she remembers that, and other citizens of Volgograd, of Stalingrad then. They will bring additional food, so they will know much general. They will know much hostilities towards them. But in Italy, when I lived in Italy, like 15 years ago, I met one person, an architect, and his uncle was a prisoner of war in Stalingrad, but he was sent to one collective fund to work because there were no men there. So he practically was the only one man who helped to restore the agricultural совхоз or kolkhoz, the collective farm. And when Stalin died, he was allowed to travel back to Italy, and he didn't want to, but sort of he was forced to go. And all his life, he was telling his Italian relatives how he regrets coming back from Stalingrad region back to Italy. Yeah, so I heard this story by myself, and as the man told it, so yeah, you never know. So though of course, as even in my book I wrote that my grandparents, my father's parents, they met because of the events, tragic events of World War One, and my grandparents, parents of my mom, they met because of tragic events of World War II. So we never know how does all the history works. That's also, of course, it is very sad what is happening now. But on the other hand, at least here in UK, I can observe, I can witness that at least there are more European faces in the streets of British towns and places, even here in Coventry, because of Ukrainian refugees. So it is more like, it looks like more European place, not Tehran or not India. So maybe these historic events was designed by Providence to rebalance the population of this country. Who knows? It's not
Well,
like
yes, our mom was 7 when the war started, and when it was over, she was almost 10, and she also remembered that there were some German soldiers, I mean prisoners, in Vladimir that helped to restore some streets, and she also mentioned that there was no hostility to them. People tried to give some food to them, like bread, and of course, the soldiers, as she said, didn't look like winners. Of course, they were just rather shabby and unhappy and hungry, and well, all Russian, especially females, felt pity to them and gave them some food, some things to wear, and so on and so forth. So, well,
yeah,
I think that charity is always in the nature of Russians, and the Russians are always ready to share with people who are in a sorry state. Even if the Russians don't have much, they are ready to share.
yeah.
So,
The
and mercy is also in the very nature of the Russian nation.
yeah, thank you for your story. But because I can see in the background this yeah, Easter bunnies, but because funny enough, yeah, we have also have money, yeah. And yesterday, coming back from London, I got a magazine. And then can you please the simple things just to read on the train? Yeah, here down. Yeah, this is the first one. Yeah, and so it is. Yeah, practically the same. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
have. Yeah.
These two bunnies are the gift from Marina's friend. She is Orthodox because her, I think, grandparents immigrated to the US, and she decided that she would be Orthodox, and so she sends us some gifts. Well, in fact, I think 3 or 4 years ago, maybe more, she sent us these bunnies, and we always, she loves to decorate her house. Yes, we sent her some maybe towels, well, Easter eggs, whatever. So we sent something connected with Russian traditions, and she always puts everything out for Easter, and she decorates the house, and then she sends us pictures of our gifts, and we always try to put out these bunnies. So we love them. They look very nice.
Is she Russian Orthodox in America?
She's Russian Orthodox.
Russian Orthodox, but she was born there. And you see, in 2017, we visited her and celebrated Easter together because so Easters coincided.
Yeah.
So all Easters were
Sometimes.
celebrated one and the same day, and we chose this year to celebrate together. We visited church service in an Orthodox church not far from where she lives. It's not far from Chicago somewhere. So as if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And we spent a nice Easter week with her family. That was nice.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, very interesting.
So Galina Alexandrovna has joined. I wonder whether the line is okay. Yaroslavl.
Maybe
Alexandra,
also
maybe
also problems with connection.
Yeah, as that what happens.
You see, we have very strong winds today and yesterday. So stormy winds, and maybe because of that.
Perfect weather in Coventry, yeah, perfect. Surprisingly, yeah, it's perfect weather. Just there are reports that there are this some and the storm is coming, of course, as the weather doesn't last more than 2 or 3 days here. I mean, the sunny weather. The rainy weather can stay for weeks, but the sunny weather, yeah. As in Volgograd, it is vice versa. I do remember the 3 months of the summertime in Volgograd with no rain at all. And here it is vice versa. There can be 3 months of rain and 2 or 3 days of sunshine. So, but anyway, but there are some these activities on the sun. And they say that all this intense radiation or whatever is coming and might affect our
connection.
Yeah, and connection as well. Yeah. So we'll
and we have been having what we call perfect winter weather for a couple of days in our area, and our friends from Canterbury sent us a very nice short video of May Day celebration when the children dance around the pole, and we sent them wonderful pictures of a snowman on green grass because
surrounded by tulips.
Yes, surrounded by tulips and snow. And well, our friends from the US who used to visit us were so much surprised because, well, one of our friends, she used to bring students, groups of students at the beginning of May. And when I sent her pictures, she couldn't believe her eyes because, well, in those times it was usually very warm
And hot.
yeah, and even hot in Vladimir, in St. Petersburg, in Moscow. And here the people make snowmen and put them on green grass and decorate with flowers because we are having the same at the same time flowers and
Do you know what that my first visit to Moscow from Volgograd was in May for Victory Day in May 1980 when Moscow Olympics were preparing, and Moscow already had, not only Moscow, I think there were some cultural programs in various cities in Leningrad, then maybe in Kiev, Minsk, and we were in Moscow for Victory Day, and it was snowing. And because I was wearing the summer clothes, I had no clothes to go to celebrate Victory Day in Moscow because it was heavy snow. Of course, if you remember Soviet times, it was possible after hours of staying in the queues to get something to buy, a kind of clothes. And but I do also remember that maybe on May the 10th we had to go to the center of Moscow, to the Kremlin Palace of Congresses for the concert dedicated to the Olympic Games. And I do remember we bought lots of chocolates and chocolate bears there, and that's how I remember my first visit to Moscow because of snow. It was very hot in Volgograd, but in Moscow it was hot. That's why I'm not surprised. I was watching military parade live yesterday. After that, I traveled to London.
and it snowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weather was so changeable. And I do remember they mentioned at the beginning that probably they were not going to be the air show or air flight, but by the end of the parade, the sun came out and they were able to make it.
Well, it was freezing in Moscow, but when we went to Volgograd, it was t-shirt weather.
Yes, as even as Anthony remembers that when we arrived to Moscow in November, it was -10, and then when we came a week later to Volgograd, it was practically December, but it was +12. So in Moscow it was -10. So yeah, he was again wearing t-shirt, and people were telling me, "Look, what is he doing?" So yeah, the weather is very, very, very.
It's -15
in St. Petersburg. Yeah. Still, you were wearing t-shirt.
Not
outside, yeah, because it was so hot inside. So he told me that he could die from the heat. Not from the frost, but from the heat. Okay, so as I'm asking Galina Alexandrovna to unmute, but probably there are some.
It looks as if there are problems with connection.
Yeah, usually it happens because it happened before, but I know because Galina Alexandrovna, she remembers the bombing of Yaroslav. It happened maybe a couple of times, as she told that during previous meetings. So she actually experienced the war by herself. Fortunately, Yaroslav didn't suffer great just bombings, but she remembers it by her. Of course, that's why I hope she can hear us, and our congratulations with Victory Day. And I'm moving to next slide because we are going to celebrate St. Petersburg's birthday. It will be Monday, but I think we'll meet on Monday. because yeah, it is worth celebrating. So because I think we all have our personal stories about St. Petersburg. It is very special. It belongs not only to Russia. It really belongs to the whole world, because absolutely every foreign person I met in any part of the world, their dream number one is to visit St. Petersburg. And actually, Anthony, yes, told me, "Oh, I would like to visit St. Petersburg." And I told him, "Yeah, okay. But before going to St. Petersburg, you have to go to Moscow, to Volgograd, and then to St. Petersburg." Yeah, so, and yeah, so we'll talk about it. Okay, thank you for celebrating with us. Yeah.
So thank you for inviting us for this
Yeah.
meeting.
Joining. С Днем Победы.
Днем Победы.
Днем Победы. And by the way, I have one more question. And you mentioned that you work today. So where were the tourists from?
So we are very happy to have tourists now from all parts of Russia. So I worked with people from Kolomna, with people from Novosibirsk. So besides, there were also people from Tula. And there is a very, yes, Moscow, of course, I'm not talking about Moscows, and Moscovites come every weekend.
Nizhny Novgorod.
Nizhny Novgorod and so on. And there is a very nice tourist firm that is called Rus. And it works on the following principle. They just put people on the bus in Moscow, but these are people from all parts of Russia. So they buy the tours from their tour agents, then come to Moscow themselves. So they buy their own tickets. They do not pay for the tickets to the tourist firm. And then they go on some route, mainly the Golden Ring route. Of course, Olga knows what it is, and she may explain a little bit later, Anthony, what Golden Ring route is. And very often they go around this route. It usually takes 5-7 days, and Vladimir is on the way from Moscow. So usually the first or the last place to visit on this route. And very often they have very big groups of about 40 people. The number of people.
Whole bus, if it is the bus.
Yes, the number of people that would fit in the bus. And very often it happens when that we don't know from what places these people are. They are from places all over Russia. Sometimes you simply, when we walk to the Church of the Intercession, it takes usually about 20 minutes to go to the church, 20 minutes from the church, and we have a chance to talk to some of the members from the group, from the people of the group, and that is why we learn that they are from different places. But well, sometimes, like yesterday, people would come from with a tourist firm from a certain city, and that would be people only from this city. Well,
yeah, very interesting. As
local families with children.
also
I had many local families with children at the exhibition yesterday, for example.
It's because these are long weekend.
Weekend
Weekend
days.
in Russia.
Yes, we have very nice exhibition now in our museum center. This exhibition is connected with the settlement from almost ice age, or what we call stone age. It is called Sungir. So and it is settlement of hunters who came to Vladimir land from time to time. And in fact, the word Sungir is quite famous among people who want to learn about Stone Age. And well, it is interactive, very interesting, a little bit unusual for Vladimir. That is why even the citizens of Vladimir go there, and we give tours of this exhibition.
Okay, thank you very much. So
Mhm.
hope to see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Hope to
Mhm.
see
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, St. Petersburg's birthday
Mhm.
on May the 27th.
Mhm.
So, and enjoy your holiday.
Mhm.
Oh,
Have a
God.
nice
Yeah,
evening.
Have a nice evening.
yeah.
I couldn't unmute myself for a long time.
Sorry, yes. So, but anyway, we're happy to see you and to hear you. So, how was your Victory Day, Galina? Oh,
My victory day, actually, so I'm sorry I couldn't, I joined you for a long time. Finally, I'm here. Yesterday was not only victory day, it was my birthday too.
oh
Wow, happy
dear!
birthday.
Wow, happy birthday! Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I had a
Oh,
very busy day
yeah,
with
yeah,
my
yeah.
family, my friends, and my granddaughter. So it was a busy day. And the weather, as our friends from Vladimir said, was just terrible. Somebody gave me a couple of bouquets of flowers. I met them, outside of my house, and it was not possible to walk. This wind was just trying to uh, get my flowers away from me. So it was very windy and very, very cold. But today it is a little bit warmer. I'm very happy to hear you, because I have heard everything that you were saying. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So
you.
I'm very glad that you managed to to
It's
come
really
through.
warm.
Yes, but
Yeah.
because
Thank you.
there are, I think something had happened with the whole system. It's not that easy to log into the meeting now, but yeah, we got used to difficulties, and we like to win. We like to overcome all the difficulties.
Yes, that's true. We are fighters, right?
Yeah,
Survivors. So we shall overcome
yeah.
all
Uh,
these difficulties.
Yes, as actually, as I don't know a lot, we were talking about, of course, like Victory Day, the history of the Victory Day in UK, in London, in Coventry, in Yaroslav, in Vladimir, yeah, in preparation for the 80th anniversary of the Second Front. Because Anthony's father is connected with the battle for the Atlantic, and his grandfather is connected with World War One. So more stories to explore, and we are going to celebrate St. Petersburg's birthday. I'm sure you also have your own stories about St. Petersburg. Yeah, and I do remember, probably you heard that I mentioned
Yes, I
that
heard that. Yeah.
that you experienced the days of Great Patriotic War in Yaroslav when you were a little girl. That's why for you it's not just a story, it is your personal story, even not the story of your relatives, it is your personal story.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Thank you very much, Olga, for mentioning that. And may I just add just one thing? In our country, the children who were growing up during World War II, during our Great Patriotic War, are now called children of the wartime. It's sort of like an official title for those who were growing up during 1941, 1945. So it's important, actually. Yeah, it's important
yeah.
that we recognize these children of the wartime.
Yeah, as my father also as he was born in 1938, but he was in the Far East. Of course, there was the war with Japan there, so it was different experience, of course, hardships as well. But my aunt, she was born in 1940, and she remembers also a little bit of war, especially when they moved from the Far East back to Stalingrad, because she got polio and the doctors recommended to be back to a different climate. That's why her parents took a decision to travel to Stalingrad. And they arrived to this ruined city. So this also. Okay, thank you very much and enjoy your
Thank you.
holiday. Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that, you know, finally I have joined you. Thank you.
Thank
very much.
you.
I'm glad
Thank
to
you.
hear
I
your
do remember
voices.
we had troubles when I was in Russia. Do you remember? You couldn't join it, but finally somehow it worked out for us. Okay, have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.